Hello! I was not supposed to be living with my ex. Let's just start there. When I agreed to the lease, Sam and I were just two broke grad students, desperate to split rent on a decent two-bedroom in the city. We dated briefly during undergrad, emphasis on briefly, and mutually agreed we were better off as friends. We never fought, no ugly breakup, just a quiet fizzle. At least, that's what I told myself. The apartment was small, full of mismatched furniture, and the kind of peeling wall paint you pretend is vintage, but it had big windows, good light, and rent that didn't make me cry. Sam moved in a week before me and already had his plants arranged perfectly on the windowsill, a record player in the corner spinning indie vinyl, and his hoodies draped over every damn surface. He greeted me with a crooked smile when I arrived, helping me carry boxes while I tried not to overthink how different he looked now. His hair was shorter, his arms a little bigger, and his eyes, those gray-green eyes I once memorized in the dark, still did that crinkly thing when he smiled. "You didn't bring the IKEA shelf?" he said, looking into my trunk. "It didn't survive the last move," I replied. "It died nobly." He laughed. "I told you those screws were bullshit." That was how it started. Easy, familiar. We fell into a rhythm. We cooked dinner together most nights, sat on the couch watching bad reality TV, made fun of the couples who always picked the wrong person on dating shows. We shared Spotify playlists and stole each other's snacks. We even had a whiteboard on the fridge where we'd write petty notes like, "You finished the cereal, you monster." But there were moments, quiet ones, small flickers that made me question if we'd ever really been just friends. Like the night he came back from a date, some guy named Jared or Jordan, and he looked distant. Not sad, exactly. Just off. "You good?" I asked, sitting cross-legged on the couch. He nodded, kicked off his shoes, and flopped down next to me. "Yeah, just tired. That guy talked about CrossFit for 2 hours. Sounds sexy. Like a root canal." I offered him the last slice of pizza, and instead of taking it, he leaned his head on my shoulder. "I missed this," he mumbled. "What?" "This," he said, barely above a whisper. "You and me. Just this." My heart stuttered. I wanted to say something, ask what he meant, if he regretted ending things, if maybe we hadn't finished whatever we started years ago, but I didn't. I just sat there, letting his head rest against me, pretending it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. A week later, everything changed. It happened on a Sunday. We'd both been up late the night before, him working on a freelance design project, me trying to outline a thesis chapter that refused to cooperate. I stumbled into the kitchen in the morning, bleary-eyed and wearing the same sweatpants from the day before, only to find Sam already there, making pancakes. "You're cooking?" I asked, still half asleep. He looked up, flipping one with too much confidence. "I owed you breakfast for taking my laundry out yesterday. Right? I heroically rescued your damn socks." He smirked. A true roommate legend. I sat at the counter, sipping coffee while he moved around the kitchen. It was strange, the way my body responded to him in moments like that. Just watching him pour batter, humming under his breath, barefoot and casual, it made my chest feel tight in that frustrating, uninvited way. He set down a plate in front of me. "Don't say I never do anything nice for you." I looked up at him. This is dangerously close to flirting. Who says it isn't? That threw me. I laughed it off, even though my stomach flipped a little. We ate in mostly silence. Comfortably so, but there was something in the air that I couldn't name. A tension that had been slowly building over weeks, maybe longer. The kind that made every brush of fingers when passing a coffee mug feel like a moment. After breakfast, I retreated to my room to work. Tried to, anyway. My mind wasn't on my thesis. It was replaying his words. Who says it isn't? That night, after dinner, we ended up on the couch again. Some dumb sci-fi movie playing in the background, half watched, while we shared a blanket. Sam always got cold easily, and somehow I'd become the designated space heater. At some point, his legs stretched out across mine. He had a habit of sprawling without asking, like our bodies were still entitled to that closeness from before. "Can I ask you something?" he said, eyes still on the screen. "Sure. Did you ever think we ended too soon? I didn't answer right away. I don't think I could have if I tried. I mean, he went on, I know we said it wasn't working, but sometimes I wonder if we just didn't know what we were doing yet. I turned toward him. Where's this coming from? He shrugged, finally looking at me. I don't know. Lately, it just feels like we're something again. Or at least, not nothing. I swallowed hard. That's a weird way to put it. I'm not good at this stuff, he said quietly. But I think about it. About you. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell him I thought about him too. All the time. In the quiet moments when the house was still. When I walked past his door at night and saw the sliver of light underneath. When I smelled his shampoo in the bathroom or saw one of his socks somehow always ending up in the laundry with mine. Instead, I said, I don't want to mess this up. Living together, it works. If we do something stupid, then we do something stupid, he interrupted, his voice barely a whisper. I'd rather risk it than keep pretending nothing's there. The room was silent except for the TV. I didn't even realize the movie had ended. Just a quiet hum in the background as Sam's legs stayed draped over mine and his hand slowly, deliberately found its way to my knee. I still like you, he said. I don't think I ever really stopped. I let out a shaky breath. I don't think I did either. He leaned in, and this time, I didn't stop him. The kiss wasn't dramatic. No music swelling in the background. No rain falling outside. Just quiet. His lips on mine, tentative at first, like we were both afraid the moment would collapse under its own weight. But when I didn't pull away, when my hand found the side of his neck and held him there, I felt something in him shift. The tension slipped from his shoulders. He leaned in more fully, and the kiss deepened. It was slow, unhurried. Not the kind of kiss that tries to make up for lost time, but the kind that says, we're here now, and that's enough. When we finally pulled apart, we didn't say anything. We just sat there for a moment. Faces close, his hand still resting on my thigh, my thumb brushing along his jaw like I needed to memorize the shape of it. He smiled. It was soft, uncertain. Okay, so that happened. I laughed, maybe too quickly. Yeah, that definitely happened. Then we both sort of blinked, like we were waking up from something. Should we talk about it? I asked, my voice quiet. Sam rubbed the back of his neck, still grinning. I mean, we could. Or we could watch another movie and pretend we're just two dudes who randomly make out sometimes. I gave him a look. That doesn't seem like a sustainable model. No, probably not. He nudged me with his foot. But hey, it's worked for some friends of mine. Although they eventually got married, so the idea of being something more than friends, again, this time for real, hit me like a wave. But I didn't want to overthink it, not yet. So we're just gonna see what happens? I asked. He nodded, then added, unless you want to make out again now. For scientific purposes, I rolled my eyes but leaned in anyway. The second kiss was different. A little braver, a little less questioning. He moved closer, his leg brushing against mine, and I let my hand slide under the hem of his hoodie, fingers grazing warm skin. He shivered. We didn't go any further than that. Just kissed and touched and smiled like idiots every time our lips parted. It felt new, even though it wasn't. Like we were finding each other for the first time all over again. Later, when we finally made it to our bedrooms, I closed my door and leaned against it. Heart pounding, head spinning. I heard him moving around in his room, probably doing the same thing, lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what came next. The weird thing was, I didn't feel nervous. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt okay not having a plan. I didn't know what this was going to turn into. I just knew I didn't want to stop. The next morning was awkward, but in a good way. Like the kind of awkward where you both remember what happened, but don't quite know how to act about it yet. I walked into the kitchen in my usual hoodie and sweatpants, trying to play it cool. Sam was already there, half-dressed, hair still damp from a shower, pouring cereal like it was just any other day. He glanced up at me, spoon halfway to his mouth. "Morning," he said. "Morning." A pause. Then he smirked. "Slept okay?" I gave him a look. You know exactly how I slept. "Right, sorry," he said, not looking sorry at all. That was the post-makeout sleep of the century. I was out like a light. I chuckled, moving to grab a mug. "So, we're just going to act like this is normal now?" He shrugged, still grinning. "It could be." We didn't talk about it more than that. Not right then, at least. But something between us had definitely shifted. The air felt different, warmer. We weren't circling each other anymore. That week passed in a blur of stolen glances and playful touches. Little things, brushing hands when we passed each other in the hallway, standing too close in the kitchen, lingering eye contact during dinner. It was like we were both testing this new version of us. And then Thursday night came. We were both home, no plans, the fridge mostly empty. Sam suggested ordering Thai and watching something dumb on Netflix. So that's what we did. We ended up sitting side by side on the couch, our legs touching, his arm draped casually across the back. At one point, he shifted and his hand fell onto my knee. He didn't move it. I didn't either. About halfway through the movie, he leaned in and kissed me again. Quick, unannounced, right there on the couch, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And I kissed him back, easy and instinctive. Things escalated from there. Slowly at first, his hand finding my waist, my fingers slipping under his shirt. We weren't in a rush. It felt exploratory, like rediscovering something you thought you lost but suddenly realized was always within reach. We made out for a long time. At some point, he pulled back, breathless, and whispered, "I forgot how good this felt with you." My chest tightened. "Yeah, me too." We didn't sleep together that night. Neither of us said it out loud, but I think we both knew it would have been too much, too fast. Instead, he ended up falling asleep on my chest while the credits rolled. I lay there with my arm around him, staring at the ceiling, feeling something settle into place. It wasn't just the thrill of the moment, it was the quiet afterward. The comfort, the feeling of belonging. I didn't want it to end. Waking up with him the next morning felt surreal. Sam was still asleep, curled against me like it was something he did every day. His arm was draped across my chest, his face relaxed, peaceful. I didn't move. I didn't want to. I just lay there, listening to his breathing, the way it synced with mine, and tried to wrap my head around how fast everything was changing. Eventually, he stirred, rubbing at his eyes as he blinked up at me. Did we fall asleep here?" "Pretty sure we did." He let out a soft laugh. His voice still raspy with sleep. "My neck's gonna hate me later." "Worth it," I said. He looked at me for a second. "Yeah, worth it." There was no big talk that morning. Just two people moving around the kitchen like they belonged to the same rhythm. Pouring coffee, bumping hips at the fridge, sharing a slice of toast. It was quiet, comfortable, maybe too comfortable. And that's when it hit me. We'd skipped the hard part. The part where people usually stop and ask, "What are we?" Later that afternoon, I caught myself staring at my computer screen, unable to focus. My mind kept drifting back to Sam. Not just last night, but the entire year. The shared laughter, the inside jokes, the small routines we'd built without even realizing. I was halfway through typing a sentence when he popped his head into my room. "You busy?" "Kind of," I lied. He leaned against the doorframe. "Want to go for a walk?" I hesitated. "I mean, if you're actually working, that's cool," he added quickly. No. Let's go." It was cool outside, one of those early spring afternoons where the sun was out, but the breeze still made you zip up your hoodie. We walked aimlessly through the neighborhood, hands in our pockets, shoulders bumping occasionally. "I've been thinking," he said after a while. My heart did that dumb little skip again. "Yeah?" "This whole thing, us, you and me." "Okay," he rubbed the back of his neck. "I'm not trying to complicate things. Last time we dated, I think we rushed into it because we didn't know any better. We didn't have a foundation. But now we do, and I don't want to mess that up. I stopped walking. He turned to face me. I don't want to mess it up either, I said. But it already feels different, doesn't it? He nodded. Yeah, it does. I stepped closer. We don't have to define it right now. But I want this. I want you. Sam smiled. Small, genuine. Good, because I want you too. We stood there for a moment, under a tree that was just starting to bloom, like we were giving the world a second to adjust to what was happening between us. And then, without overthinking it, I reached for his hand. He took it. The weeks that followed felt like a honeymoon phase we never got the first time around. We didn't talk much about labels or what we were to each other. We just lived it. We cooked together more, lingered over breakfast on weekends, fell asleep tangled up in each other's arms with the TV still playing in the background. It was easy, almost suspiciously so. And yet, I couldn't shake this low hum of fear, the part of me that knew comfort doesn't always equal security. I'd had things fall apart before, good things, and as much as I wanted to believe this was different, I was still me, cautious, analytical, always looking for the cracks. Sam wasn't like that. He leaned in, trusted instinct, followed feelings. It was one of the things that drew me to him in the first place, even when we were younger. That quiet confidence in just being who he was. Like if he wanted something, he didn't need to justify it. He'd just reach out and take it. One night, I was working late at the kitchen table, headphones on, laptop open, notes spread out everywhere. Sam padded into the room, fresh out of the shower, hair damp, wearing nothing but old gym shorts and a sleepy grin. He walked straight to me, pulled off my headphones and kissed the top of my head. Come to bed. I'm not done, I mumbled. You said that an hour ago. I meant it an hour ago. He leaned down, arms around my shoulders from behind. You also said you weren't going to overwork yourself this semester. That was a lie I told myself to get through January. He laughed softly, his cheek brushing against mine. Please, you're already half asleep at your keyboard. I'm trying to finish this draft so I don't fall behind. Sam was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Let me help. I turned to look at him. Help with what? You're a design student. He shrugged. I can't edit your paper, but I can keep you company. Sit with you, make you tea, rub your shoulders when you get stuck on a sentence. Emotional support services. I couldn't help but smile. You're such a sap. And yet, you're still here, he said, kissing my cheek again before walking off to put the kettle on. I watched him move around the kitchen and felt that tightness in my chest again. But this time, it wasn't anxiety. It was the slow, terrifying realization that I was falling in love with him. For real. Not the fast, infatuated way it had been years ago, but something steadier, deeper, and that scared the hell out of me. I went to bed later than I should have. Sam was already half asleep, but he stirred when I climbed in beside him. Did you finish? Sort of, I whispered. Enough for now. He rolled over and pressed his forehead to mine. Good. I was gonna come drag you away in 10 more minutes. Liar? Dead serious? I would have carried you. You're not strong enough. He smiled, eyes still closed. I am when it's for you. And just like that, the fear eased. Just a little. I wish I could say it was all smooth from there. But it wasn't. Things got complicated the day Sam's ex showed up. It was a Saturday, and we were halfway through cleaning the apartment. Me vacuuming, Sam sorting laundry with one earbud in, when there was a knock at the door. I opened it without thinking, expecting a package or a neighbor needing help with her thermostat. Instead, it was Jason. I didn't recognize him at first. Just some tall, slightly scruffy guy in a denim jacket holding a bag of something. Books, maybe? Or leftover stuff Sam had never picked up. He looked me up and down. Hi. Is Sam here? Yeah, I said, already uneasy. Who's asking? He gave a tight smile. Jason. We used to date. I nodded, stepping aside, heart sinking, even though I knew I had no right to feel territorial. Sam hadn't done anything wrong. Still, something about Jason, his ease, the familiarity in the way he said Sam's name, rubbed me the wrong way. Sam appeared in the hallway, towel around his neck, blinking like he'd just stepped out of a dream. "Jason?" he said, surprised. Jason shrugged. "Thought I'd drop off the rest of your stuff. You left some books, and that sweater you used to steal." Sam glanced at me, then back at him. "Thanks. You could have just texted." Jason stepped inside, handing him the bag. Didn't think a text would cover it. That line hung in the air like a challenge. I moved to the kitchen, giving them space, but every muscle in my body was tense. I could hear their voices, low and awkward, some old emotional thread unraveling between them. 10 minutes passed. Then Sam came into the kitchen alone. "He's gone," he said quietly. "Okay," I replied, not looking at him as I wiped down the counter for the third time in a row. "You all right?" I hesitated. "I don't know. Should I be?" Sam sighed and leaned against the doorway. "He's my ex, that's all. You didn't tell me you were still in contact." "I'm not. I didn't know he was coming over. It wasn't a thing." "But it was once," I said, finally meeting his eyes. "You two lived together." He looked frustrated, but not at me. At the situation. At the fact that things weren't staying in their perfect little bubble. "Yeah, it was a thing, and now it's not." "You really think I'd start something with you if I wasn't over him?" "I don't know," I admitted. Being with you like this, it feels good, but I don't know what we are." "Not really. We haven't talked about it." Sam pushed off the wall and stepped closer. "Then let's talk," I swallowed. "Okay, what are we?" He didn't even hesitate. "We're together. We're a thing. At least, I thought we were." I stared at him, letting those words sink in. "You never said it like that before." "Maybe I should have," he said, "but I figured the sleeping together, the morning coffee, the whole spooning until noon thing might have given it away." A smile tugged at the edge of my mouth despite myself. "Yeah, fair enough." Sam's expression softened. "You don't have to be scared. I'm not going anywhere." And for the first time in a long while, I actually believed that. After that night, something settled between us. Not in a boring way, more like a sense of knowing. Like we weren't circling each other anymore, trying to define what this was. Sam was mine, and I was his. It was simple, quietly undeniable. We didn't change much about our routines. We still fought over who left dishes in the sink, still teased each other about terrible playlists, still tried to outdo each other's ramen recipes. But the touches were different now. The kisses were more frequent. The space between us, once full of guesswork, was easy. A few weeks later, I woke up before him on a rainy Saturday morning. The kind of morning that begged you to stay in bed. The kind that blurred the edges of the window and made the whole apartment feel wrapped in a blanket. Sam was sleeping on his stomach, one arm thrown across my waist, his face pressed into the pillow. I watched him for a while, just breathing him in. His hair messy, lips slightly parted, bare shoulder rising and falling against the sheet. And I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of this, not of him, not of where it might go. I reached out and gently traced my fingers along his back, watching as his eyes blinked open. "Creep," he muttered sleepily. "Good morning to you too." He grinned, eyes still half closed. "Why are you staring at me like I'm a sunrise?" "Because you kind of are," he groaned. "That's so corny. You're lucky you're cute." I leaned in and kissed the side of his neck. "I know." We stayed in bed until nearly noon, tangled up, half napping, half talking about nothing. Eventually, the rain let up and the city started to reappear behind the fogged windows. But neither of us moved. At one point, Sam rolled over, rested his chin on my chest, and looked up at me. "You really happy?" he asked, uncharacteristically serious. I nodded without hesitation. "Yeah." "Are you?" He smiled. "More than I thought I could be." I pulled him closer, holding him in the stillness, and in that moment, I didn't need to plan the future. I didn't need to label every piece of what we had. I just needed him. And he was here, he always had been. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.